Hello again, my name is Irishfreethinker and I'd like to say thank you very much for watching the video. This is my video response to an article which appeared in the Irish Times a couple of days ago on Tuesday the 17th of November. It was an article by John Bruton, who criticised secularists, those of us in Ireland who want to separate church and state. He accused us of being naive and being unrealistic, and this is my video response to that. John Bruton is a former Taoiseach of Ireland. That is, he is the former Irish Prime Minister. He is also a former European Union ambassador to Washington, and he is now currently a candidate for the presidency of the European Union. So things that John Bruton actually say must be taken quite seriously, and we have to be able to listen to what the man is saying, and particularly when it affects atheists and when it affects secularists. We have to be able to give a considered response to what he is actually saying, and this is my attempt to do that. Here is what John Bruton says. As long as religious belief exists, a secularist notion that religion and politics should be kept entirely separate is simply unrealistic, even naive. And naive beliefs pursued relentlessly, as they often are, lead towards either tyranny or the breakdown of the pluralism that is required for democracy to function. The answer is, of course, that is nonsense. That is not the case at all. I think that John Bruton is being unfair, and indeed is wrong, when he accuses secularists of being immoderate and of in fact pushing tyranny upon the people. Nothing can be further from the truth. He is so wrong to say that. He lacks a vision and he lacks understanding. Perhaps what would be considered one of the greatest democracies in the world, which is the United States of America, was founded upon the basis of the separation of church and state. That the state would not give credence to any one religion over another, and in fact cannot give anyone credence to any one religion over another, and that is the way it should be. The American founding fathers knew the importance of personal freedom, and it was for that reason that they inserted into their constitution the precise separation of church and state. And is John Bruton suggesting that America is, as he says, on the verge of tyranny? Or does he see that this separation of church and state has led to the breakdown of democracy in America? Of course it hasn't. It is utter nonsense to suggest that the separation of church and state would lead to that. The American founding fathers respected freedom. And it was because they respected freedom, personal freedom, the freedom for individuals to make up their own minds, to choose whether to believe or not, without the indoctrination by the church on this matter. They knew the importance of that, and that's why they put the separation of church and state into their constitution. And they have never looked back. So I don't know where John Bruton is coming from in relation to this matter. The state should legislate in the interests of all the people, and it should never legislate on the basis of the interest of a section of that people, because that section of people happen to have a religious indoctrination which is a majority religious indoctrination. And in fact, when you look at states, for example in the Islamist countries, in the Islamic countries, you will see that church and state are intricately lined up to the devastation of freedom, of personal freedom, to the devastation of democracy. And in fact, almost all of these Islamic countries are in fact run by corrupt regimes, by dictatorial, murderous and hateful regimes. And that is what religion and the state working hand in glove do. Secularists want to separate the church and state so that we can have a lasting, genuine democracy. The function of legislators is to legislate for the people. It is not the function of a legislator to keep the religious beliefs of any section of the community alive and well and pushed to the fore. Religion must be a private matter. If religion is a private matter, it should stay a private matter, and the state has no business in promoting religion of any description. All you have to do is look at a situation in any of the Middle Eastern countries. If you are not an Islamist, if you are not a Muslim, then essentially you will never be able to stand for election. The mullahs in places like Iran, for example, you must be acceptable to the committee of mullahs, the religious Islamists, and indeed many of them fundamental religious Islamists. If you do not pass their go, then you don't get to stand for election. And this is the essence of what happens when you have religion and the state working hand in glove. Democracy takes a back seat. And I think that John Bruton knows quite well that is the case. John Bruton says in this report that he is a practicing Catholic. Fine. No secularist, no atheists forces people not to believe. You can't. You can't force people not to believe. But it is absolutely wrong of the state to indoctrinate, to essentially hold up one religious belief, in this case a Catholic, against the religious faith of any others, and indeed those like myself who would be atheists. Religion is a personal matter, but it should not be shoved down my throat as has happened in the past. And to say that I'm as bad as a secularist, that I am as bad as the church was in the past, you know, that is just so wrong. I haven't gone out to burn anybody at the stake, or to isolate anybody, or to break up families because they weren't following the one true religion of the miserable 30s and the 40s and the 50s, when church interference in this country was so dominant and so bad, the results of which we are seeing now with the various child abuses, where the religious run institutions and the state run institutions were practically hand in glove, with the disastrous effect that it had on children. So I don't accept what John Bruton says. I will still push for religious freedom, as long as it's a personal matter, and as long as the state is not shoving it down my throat that I have to pay for any sort of religious indoctrination anymore. I don't want that. It is dangerous. The world we live in is dangerous, and it's dangerous because of the imposition of religious belief through the state. So dangerous. That's it. Thank you for listening, and we'll meet again. Thank you.